Yeah, you're seeing this correctly. Yes, this is crazy. I bought a BSA Gold Star. For those who do not know what this is a very big deal. This is the most expensive bike my dad or I have ever bought. This is a DBD34 1962 Gold Star. For the past few years, I had always said in my videos, at some point we want to add a Gold Star to the collection. At some point we will add a Gold Star to the collection. And we finally made it happen. When looking at a Gold Star in particular, the Gold Star my dad had always envisioned himself having was the DBD34, which was the later iteration of the Gold Star. The DBD34 has an upgraded crank in it and was the last version of the Gold Star that was produced. This particular bike is a 62, but the final production year of the BSA Gold Star was in 1963, until very recently when BSA came back and they brought back the Gold Star, which I have my own opinions about, which we'll talk about later. Now, the name Gold Star actually meant something back in the day, and what it meant was the motorcycle that could average more than 100 miles per hour on the Brooklyn's racing circuit. At the time, 100 miles per hour was a lot, and right before the Second World War, BSA accomplished that with the Gold Star. At the time, the BSA Gold Star was still a prototype motorcycle. BSA had never really entered into road racing, and they weren't really known for racing machines until this came out, and it changed literally everything. During the Second World War, they stopped making Gold Stars for a good amount of years, and then after the war they made the ZB Gold Star, and then they followed it up with the BB Gold Star, and then they made the DB Gold Star, and then the DBD. There are a lot of BSAs that are out and about, but a lot of them are owned by older people, and they're hiding in the corner of someone's garage, just like this Gold Star was. It's been hiding for like the last decade, and the guy just could no longer handle it. This is an Isle of Man champion. The first ever time the Gold Star was raced in the Isle of Man, it took first place. And it became to the point where if you wanted to be competitive, you had to be on a BSA Gold Star. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it, and I don't want to twist my words at all, so I'll stop explaining there, and we'll do a proper review on this bike when the time comes. But just know the BSA Gold Star is an absolute legendary motorcycle. I can't really believe that this is mine. It feels really weird. I've rode this bike one time, just like any British bike. This is leaking. Unfortunately, I cannot fire this bike for you guys in this video. I want to do a little bit of inspection into the motor, go over some things, because I wasn't quite satisfied at some of the noises it was making the last time I started it. So before doing another startup, I just want to go through it one time, because the bike's been sitting for many years and it's leaking a little bit more than it should. This particular bike I picked up about 6.5 hours away from where I live. It was an all-day trip, and my dad just said, we have to have it. It's the time. These bikes have depreciated quite a bit over the last couple of years. A bike like this would have fetched well north of $25,000 just a few years back, and they've softened quite a bit since then, because a lot of people don't know what these bikes are, and a big reason for that is because all of them are hiding. This is the second ever Gold Star I've ever seen, and the first one was earlier this year, and it wasn't this variation of Gold Star. It had a higher US spec handlebar on it. This is a DBD34. If it was a 32, it'd be a 350, and this right here is a single 500, which is kind of like the Isle of Man racer spec that everyone used. The 350s, I believe, were junior class at the time. Now, this Gold Star doesn't quite look the way that I want it to look, nor the way my dad wants it to look. We're going to be modifying this motorcycle when the time comes, after we go through and kind of give it our once over. Some positives about this bike is that it has been restored, it has been touched. It is a very quality restoration, and going between restoring a bike ourselves or having a bike that's already done, we decided this time to have a bike that was already basically finished, and this one came up, had been for sale for a while, and we decided to pull the trigger. Now, this bike is kind of like a US spec bike. It has a smaller gas tank on it. It has a proper handlebar on it, which is sweet, but we're going to be changing that. And it also has the bigger drum in the front. The tires are fairly new. Everything on the bike is kind of refreshed, and it's in really good condition overall. Now, these bikes came in a couple of different specs. They came in this spec right here. Smaller tank, and a proper handlebar. But they also came with bigger tanks, and they also came with clip-ons. And that's all I'm going to say for now, but we're definitely going to be changing this bike up and spicing it up quite a bit. Now, the bike also did come in 2 different variations with the transmission. It came in a standard, and it came with the RRT2, which is the racing transmission. This bike is currently fitted with a standard transmission, and I do not have an RRT2, and it's something that, if I can find it, I will buy it, because I would love to have it either sitting on the side or even installing it on this bike at some point. They also came with 3 different carburetor options. They came with a standard carburetor, which is currently fitted onto the bike. With the standard carburetor, it makes it way more rideable on the street because the bike will actually idle. The upgraded carburetor, which I also do have, is the GP carburetor, which you have to give the bike constant throttle and you have to keep blipping it, otherwise the bike will die. The bike will not idle with a GP carburetor. And then there's a TT carburetor, also known as the Matchbox carburetor. Be interesting to see if I can get one, and I think that'd be the ideal one to have, but we'll see. But wait, there's more. Since this bike has been restored and it has many things that are new, it also has several large boxes of spare parts that were either taken off the bike, replaced, changed, or whatever it is. I was told by the owner that this bike has 1,869 original miles on it, and this motor only has about 50 to 100 miles on it, which is crazy. This motorcycle is basically fresh. In the future, we will definitely be talking more about how it rides, how it feels, all of these different things when we get a little bit more hands-on with it. I thought I would just make a video because I really wanted to show it to you guys, because I've been talking about this bike for forever. I just love and adore all the jewelry this bike has on it. When you're looking at like the Hondas and stuff, they just don't have the bling that this bike has. The accessories. You have decompression on the bottom side of your left hand. You have a advance on your left side as well. You have the choke on the right side. You have the horn and the high-low beam there as well. Throttle still on the right-hand side. Front brake, clutch, but you have a right-hand shift on it, and the rear brake in your left foot. You can come and kick the bike over. There is a very specific way in order to start these machines. Let me tell you about it. So, what you do is you hold in the decompression, you kick it over a few times after turning the fuel on. I mean, even just this to mention, even the fuel taps, they're just so nice. It's crazy. I absolutely love this bike. But you come, you find top dead center, decompression valve, pull it, and now you're right under TDC. And at this point, you give it a nice strong kick and keep your fingers crossed and hope it starts. Now, the reason you do it that specific way is so the bike doesn't come back and backfire on you and break your foot or send you flying over the handlebar like it did with the previous owner. The previous owner just got a little too old and he just could not ride the bike anymore. He couldn't even start the bike anymore, and after I think it kicked him off of it one time, he decided to sell the bike. But if you don't start the bike properly that way, it will kick back at you and it will hurt. We'll go into more of the specifics, more into everything in the future. I just want to show you guys this bike. If you're excited to see more content on this machine, please do subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video to show your appreciation, comment below your thoughts on the BSA Gold Star, the 3rd BSA in the collection, and for those who are wondering, my thoughts on the new BSA Gold Star. I think it's a good bike, but they missed a marketing opportunity. With that being said, the day that the new Gold Star was revealed, many years ago, I placed down an order on the bike, and when it shows up, I have no idea, but at some point they're supposed to be bringing them to the US, and maybe we will be able to compare the two. And I say maybe because it's been about 5 years since they revealed the bikes, and it's been about 3 years since they've been in UK, French, and Indonesian markets. At the time, it was still a prototype. That scared me.